Welcome back, America. We have with us Mike Howell, the Executive Director of the Heritage Foundation Oversight Project. How are you, sir?
Doing well. How are you?
We're doing great. Tell us what this project is.
Right. So it is an attempt to really start fighting back. I'm a former Hill guy, former Trump admin guy. Realized that the culmination of the lawfare and the collection of propaganda media and intelligence agencies and really international plans were something that the left was operating with absolute sophistication, whereas the right has relied on just a very small use of congressional power for messaging purposes in terms of letters and hearings. And we decided that was insufficient. And so we scaled up an investigative and litigation operation, have sued Biden about 100 times and, produced a lot of the record sets that are dominating conversations about the Biden family corruption or the Mayorkas corruption at the border. We caught him lying about that whipping incident from a couple of years ago, those sorts of things. But we are particularly focused in the election integrity space at this moment in time and deploying all resources to that end. And the litigation for special counsel Hur's criminal interview with President Biden is really a top focus, which directly relates to also what we're doing to make sure that Biden can't.
Still there? Mr. Producer, what happened there? Well, maybe Putin cut him off. Let's see if we can get him. It was just getting good. I do have a few questions, so let's try and get him back now. Just never heard anything like that. Okay, when we get him back, first I do want to know how that case is going, or how that case is going to go with respect to the audio, because it seems to me that's important. It'll depend on, yeah. Hello, how are you there, Michael Howell?
Yeah, I'm back. I don't know what happened there, but I got dropped, but I'm here now.
It's the Russians. It's always the Russians, the bastards. Anyway, couple of quick questions. First of all, on the audio litigation, you say you've begun. Do you have a judge for that yet?
We do. We're in front of Judge Kelly here in D.C. The case has substantially progressed. We recently filed last Friday a brief in which former AG Mukasey came out and said that Garland's reliance on his arguments, Mukasey's arguments for executive privilege, were wholly taken out of context. And so that's the latest there. Obviously, the House filed suit this week that threatens to delay consideration of our case, but we're working to make sure we can proceed on an accelerated schedule.
I just assumed they would join the cases, but we'll see what happens. Now, that said, you have a piece here. There's articles being written about a report you folks did in April, and fairly prescient, but you make the point, wait a minute, in a couple of these states, it's not going to be so easy for the Democrats to just flop another presidential candidate out there. You want to start with, like, the most onerous state, which appears to be maybe Wisconsin? I could be dead wrong based on this article.
So it's so fact-dependent on when and how they do it. Obviously, the convention features as a pretty big dates, and after convention, the litigation would be off the charts. But there are still pre-convention issues and timelines at play. Some states, Texas, 71 days it has to be decided who's going to be on the ballot. That's the 20th of August. Wisconsin has specific procedures. Nevada, you got to do it by the I think, fourth Friday of July. Maine has an issue in the second Monday of July, and then the fourth Monday of July if they want to do a complete substitution switcheroo. And so what you basically have are 50 different sets of rules that need to be complied with, and some of them have very specific conditions that need to be met, like if they would have to admit President Biden was actually incapacitated to qualify in certain states. Other states have vague statutes, which offers opportunities for litigation. But there's going to be a ton of arguments about the applicability of these statutes. They're untested. It's novel. We've never been in a situation really like this before at the presidential level. And so all that is to say, guaranteed litigation bonanza, no matter how they do it or when they do it.
If he himself decides in the next week or 10 days, I'm not going to run for re-election, that probably would work, wouldn't it?
That is their easiest path. The easiest path was for them to figure this out, months ago and actually run a legitimate primary, but they haven't, and they've sued to prevent RFK from getting ballot access, forcing him to, run as an independent. And so, yes, it would be easier if Biden were to do this now, but that doesn't mean the road is without any peril. There's still some opportunities for litigation. But that process is called withdrawal as opposed to substitution. Withdrawal is President Biden, what it sounds like, him stepping down.
Yeah, and again, it depends on the laws, but it has been done. Not often, where president decides after or in the middle of a primary. I don't know that it's been done this late. So we've had there a massive cover-up by the media, massive cover-up by the Democrat Party. And this is where they brought us. And now the media is pretending that they're going to get tough with their editorial boards calling for Biden to step aside. And Biden's trying to figure out what to do. You can see the rats jumping a sinking ship up there in Congress. You say you worked up there as a staffer. Well, you can see all they care about is their own skin. The Democrat Party has brought us to this point, and their media have too, right?
Oh, absolutely. And that's why if Biden has to withdraw and point to his incapacitation as a reason to meet the statutory requirements, the house of cards really falls, right? Because the media obviously has been complicit in this lie, but there are officials in the U.S. government in their official capacities who have furthered this lie and have, testified to the president's acuity. And so I think the result is basically a lot of people in the Biden administration would have no basis of working in the federal government ever again. People with security clearance, I think, who were in on this should have those revoked. And so it's a really harmful thing for them to have to do that. But I will say that this slipped past the media's radar today. Biden announced that he is, as in present tense, the Democratic nominee for president. And so their convention's not till August. He's implicitly saying that they need not have the convention or the formal nominating process. Why is that important is because several of the statutes in the states for a withdrawal situation defer to the Democratic National Committee deciding who their candidate is. And so by Biden illegitimately taking that mantle now, he's building in a legal defense should these statutes be utilized to prevent all of this.
I don't think there's a lot of thinking going on at the White House along the lines that you guys have been studying and investigating and so forth. Because I think if there were, they would be using it to defend themselves. If you know what I mean. They'd be saying, wait a minute, Wisconsin could become a problem, this could become a problem, that could become a problem. Don't you think?
I think they absolutely are making that argument. I think President Biden and Jill are pointing to the complexity and litigation that would result if they were to do a change as a defensive measure. And that's why it's so important that he, illegitimately claimed today to already be the Democratic nominee, because that, further protects him from these challenges in the future.
All right. Keep up the good work. Fascinating to hear about this. That's Mike Howell with the Heritage Foundation's Oversight Project. He's the executive director. Keep us apprised, sir. We appreciate it.